Welcome, friends, to a fresh new topic which I wanted to discuss with you today. And this is assignment sales. Why and how assignment sale works for both buyers as well as sellers. As you would have noted, the market is mostly inclined to buyers for over an year now. Things dramatically changed, and since July 2022, market has sort of plateaued. In such markets, the demand becomes low and the supply increases. Speaking about assignment sales, it was traditionally a clause which the purchaser takes when buying a pre-construction home from a builder. This clause is meant to assign your contractual obligation of purchase to another buyer or assignee. This provision is placed in the original agreement of purchase and sale to deal with any change in situation for the purchaser. The changes could be financial, logistical, or personal, which may require the consumer to assign his or her rights to purchase at the agreed amount to a new willing buyer. It could be the original buyer's family situation or work location changed during the construction time. The location of the purchase doesn't work anymore for them and they are looking for assigning. This process of assignment is also called as paper flipping. As in an assignment sale, the new purchaser is not able to see the property in person and is buying based on the specifications, features, and the floor plan available on the paper. The assigner or the original purchaser provides the original agreement of purchase and sale to the assignee or the new buyer. This needs to be vetted by the assignee's solicitor. Let us discuss point by point why assignment sale works for a seller. The seller or assigner is able to transfer his contractual obligation to perform the final closing or completion of the property and arrange for the necessary mortgage in order to complete the transaction and get the funds. They can get away with arranging the necessary mortgage to complete the transaction. The original buyer can reclaim the deposit made to the builder, possibly with a premium if the market conditions are favorable. The seller is not paying the land transfer tax, which is due on the closing. This is in fact paid by the new buyer or the assignee as it's due only on the closing. For the new home, there are some utility connection charges for the hydro, water, gas services, if applicable to the unit. This cost is transferred to the purchaser upon completion. In assignment, the assignee pays these costs. The development charges are generally capped. These are the costs which are inbuilt into the original purchase price. However, there are situations when the municipality requires more from the builder to cover up the development levies since the time original permit was issued. These costs are capped in the original agreement, but would mean that some of it till the capping limit might be required by the new assignee to chip in at the time of completion. Now let's explore why assignment works for buyers. Generally, since the assignment purchase is done on paper, it would always be negotiated at a price slightly lower than the price of a similar product in the neighborhood. By product, I mean to say similar property type and specifications. This price benefit is due to the fact that the assignee is willing to commit on the purchase just by looking at the specifications and plans on paper. The other reason is that the assignee is saving the seller from their contractual obligation to the builder. So they have upper hand in the negotiation to get it at a favorable price for them. In the pre-construction world, there is a waiting time involved from the time you ink the purchase with the builder to the final delivery. It varies based on the fact whether the purchase is a high-rise condo or a low-rise freehold dwelling. In the assignment scenario, these sales typically occur closer towards the occupancy. And this is the reason that the assignee or the new purchaser experiences minimal waiting time to get into their new home. Assignments can happen for resale contracts as well. but they are not as commonplace as how they are with pre-construction world. The assignee or the new buyer receives a brand new and never lived in property. I should highlight here that they require a lot of challenges and restrictions as well for both seller and buyer. But if navigated well, it presents as an opportunity for all parties involved. To illustrate some pitfalls, the new buyer or assignee should have enough cash backup, as there could be a HST component which they might need to cough up during the completion. Generally, the builders recover it from the government based on the undertaking if the buyer is using the dwelling as their own residence. However, in assignment, sometimes the builders would want the Ontario housing rebate amount from the assignee, and in that case, the new buyer would need to come up with the extra cash at the time of completion. The maximum Ontario new housing rebate amount that is available is $24,000. The assignee would then require to claim it back from the CRA upon occupation. For the sellers, it's not easy to expose or list the assignment opportunity on platforms like MLS. Majority of the builders would have restriction which would be specified in their original agreement of purchase and sale. Advertising of any assignment opportunity would require the consent from the builder and might limit the platforms available to the seller in order to get a proper exposure. There would be some situations where you are coming too close to the final closing date, and builders might not provide the approval for assignments as it's too close to the finish line. The builders would not want to introduce a new assignee into the picture when the closing is short. So in order to navigate the assignment process, it needs to be done well in time for everything to go smoothly. There would be tax implications which should be discussed by the assigner with their accountant, as any profits, if you realize during the process of assignment, would be liable for taxes and rather considered as business income. The CRA would generally not consider the investment as a capital property and would not allow them to have capital gain exemption unless they are able to satisfy the CRA with their personal situation on why they needed to assign. This needs to be discussed with your accountant. Assignment fees is another fees which the assigner would need to pay to the builder to get the paperwork done to transfer their rights to the new purchaser. This cost is outlined in the original agreement of purchase and sale between the original purchaser and the builder. In a nutshell, assignment sale works on various levels for both parties. However, needs to be executed carefully with these pointers consulted with legal and financial team to have the necessary peace of mind and be prepared for a smooth outcome. Truly appreciate your time today, and if you find this helpful, do share it with your friends and colleagues. For any real estate needs, reach out to our team here at Elixir and we will be happy to assist. Have a great time and I will see you soon. If you like this episode, do like and subscribe for more such content.